What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to continue our series on the top Genesis cards with IMX coming out slated for March 2021. That gives them less than about 2 weeks now to roll out IMX. So let's take a look at the top 5 cards for each god, and we're going to start with Light. But with Light, it's impossible to whittle it down to just 5 because Light has so many good Genesis cards. So we're actually going to look at the top 7 Genesis cards and then follow that up with the top 5 Magic cards. So let's dive on in. So in 7th, we've got the Serif. The Serif is a 5 mana 1/1. It's got Frontline, Protected, and its afterlife is set the attack of all enemy creatures to 1. This card is extremely powerful and kind of underused presently. That's basically because Light is so good, it doesn't need to play Control. I think in the future we'll see this card being played a lot more as Control becomes more of an option for Light. It's just a good card. It can set the attack of all enemy creatures to 1. So you drop this really late, not on curve at 5, but maybe after your opponent plays a couple massive creatures, 7, 8 drops, and then you play a Serif and you ruin their day. Next up, we've got the Golden Harp. Golden Harp is a 3 mana, 0 attack, 3 durability relic that at the end of your turn summon a 1/1 injured soldier with frontline. At the start of your opponent's turn, this heals all friendly characters for 1 and loses 1 durability. So effectively what this does is it keeps summoning frontlines for you, and then it heals them, so you get a 1/2 frontline, and it heals all of your creatures on board. And in and of itself, this card is just good, but combined with other cards in Light, which Light can just heal and heal and heal, this is a very good card. In fact, let's take a look at the next card on the list. In number 5, we've got the High Thermiturge. This guy's a 2 mana 1/2, and whenever a creature is healed, draw a card. So healing Light decks are, you can draw a million cards with this thing. You combine this with the relic automatically heals. At the very least, you're going to have 1 damaged creature every turn because the relic puts out an injured 1/1, which it then heals immediately. If you have like 1 or 2 other creatures that are injured and you have the High Thermiturge out, you're drawing 2-3 cards in 1 single turn. You can get insane amount of draw from this High Thermiturge. Next, we've got the 7 mana legendary Griffith the Chosen, who's a 6/7 protected and ward. Roar, set the strength of all other creatures with strength 4 or more to 1. Effectively, this is why the Serif isn't as needed. Griffith can basically get the job done by himself, and he puts out a massive body with protected and ward. This thing can completely swing games around in your favor. Next up, we've got Canonize. This is a 5 mana spell, and it gives a creature +3/+3 and protected. This allows you to value trade any creature you've got on board, can pretty much take out one of your opponent's bigger creatures, and it gives your creature protected, so you don't even lose your creature. You can also just go face with this and leave your creature with protected and +3/+3, so you can put huge bodies on the board, trade away your enemy's creatures. This card can just end games. And then we've got the Highborne Knight, which is a 4 mana 3/3 with frontline, protected, and ward. This card is like the trifecta. It's got protected and ward and frontline to boot. It's got a nice body at 3/3, and it's just hard to kill. You can't remove it with a spell because it's got ward. You can't just ram something into it because it's got protected. It's hard to chip away at this thing. Your best bet, the only thing that can really stop this creature is like an Amazon Heart Eater can just eat right through the protected end ward. Other than that, this thing is just a pain to deal with. And in first place, it's a common card. It's the 4 mana 2/2 Master of Indulgences. And the roar is this creature swaps health with another creature. So let's say your opponent drops a 9/9 Pious Giant with Ward. Well, this is a creature, so Ward doesn't stop it. So you can drop the Master of Indulgences. His creature becomes a 9/2. Your Master of Indulgences becomes a 2/9. And now you can easily just kill his 9/2 with either a creature that you've already got on board that you don't mind trading off, or what makes this one of the best cards in the game is that you can also just use one of Light's many, many relics that do 2 damage for 1 mana. Ritual Rod and Cudgel both have 2 durability. They're 1 mana, 2 attack. Ritual Rod can also get an extra durability if you have a Mystic on board, which we just saw a Mystic here with a Highborne Knight, so not hard to have a Mystic on board. And basically that means for 1 mana, you can include 4 1 mana relics in your deck that do 2 damage, and collectively that's 10 durability. So almost every single turn, Light can do 2 damage, and this Master of Indulgences can give any opponent creature 2 health, leaving you with the perfect trades all the time whenever you need them. This card is phenomenal. All right, let's dive in to Magic now. In 5th place, we've got the Warp Engineer. So this one is pretty good for combo decks. If you're looking for OTK decks, especially with a God Power change that they proposed that's going to be coming up, there's going to be a Spell Boost God Power, which is going to allow you to just blow things up massive amounts of damage in 1 turn. The Warp Engineer is a 2 mana 1/3, and its roar is choose a card that costs no more than your total unlocked mana gems, reduce its cost by 2, effectively allowing you to reduce the cost of something like a Form of Unity, which can do 9 damage burst to the face, Arcane Burst, which can do 10 damage to the face, Epiphany is a 7 mana, it does 6 damage to the face. There are plenty of things that can be reduced in cost and then played as burst damage. So combining this with other cards that are going to all be played in just 1 turn in sequence, this can lead to some really big turns. And then we've got the Portal Wrangler. The Portal Wrangler is a 4 mana 3/4, and it has a roar of add a copy of the last creature played to your hand. So as a 4 mana 3/4, you're sacrificing 1 or 2 stats to play this, but the roar adds a card back into your hand, and you basically get to choose what that card is because you can choose when to play the Portal Wrangler. So if you want to wait until your opponent plays something really nice, and then you steal a copy, and then you just ratify their creature, now you have the cool creature and they've got a rat. You can use it on your own creatures if your opponent doesn't play anything on their turn, or if you combine it with something like Fray, which reduces the cost, or the Warp Engineer, which reduces the cost of cards. You could play like an Avatar of Magic for 2 mana, then play a Portal Wrangler, get a second Avatar of Magic. So you could do a lot of crazy stuff with the Portal Wrangler. It's a ton of fun. Then we've got the Shadow Scryer. This card is a killer at 1 mana. It's a 1 mana 1/1 with Protected and Ward. Very difficult to deal with. And at the end of your turn, foresee 1. This card just is hard to deal with because of the Protected and Ward. And it's only got 1 attack, so it doesn't seem like a big threat. So these will often stick around on the board for multiple turns. And every single turn, you can foresee 1, which means you get to look at the top card of your deck, and you can either put it on the bottom of your deck or leave it on the top, meaning you can easily cycle through your deck, find exactly the cards you need in the exact order. And these cards, they're just difficult to deal with, and they're not a big threat, so often not dealt with. Next up, we've got Sears, Vengeful Sorceress. This 7 mana 3/3 has a roar of deal 3 damage to each enemy character, 4C3. Note that it says character, which means it does also hit your opponent in the face. It also has 4C, which means, again, you can cycle through your deck, trying to find the exact cards you need. And at 7 mana, you're oftentimes going to be looking for some finishers, maybe an Echo, maybe an Avatar of Magic, or maybe you need a board clear, although this card kind of doubles as a board clear in and of itself. Dealing 3 damage to everything is oftentimes going to just clear out the whole board, and it only hits opponent's characters, so yours are good to go. And in first place, we have the Avatar of Magic, which is a 9 mana 9/9. It's got Protected and Ward, Spell Boost +2. Whenever you cast a spell, add a copy of Beam to your hand that costs 1 mana. So, lot to break down here. They actually recently tweeted out that someone bought a Diamond Legendary Avatar of Magic for 12.6 ETH. So, this card is absolutely one of the most sought after diamonds in Genesis. It's an excellent card. And effectively, the way that this works is you can use it with something like the Warp Engineer to reduce the cost of this so that you can play it and play a spell on the same turn. And then Beam is a spell, so every time you play Beam, you get another Beam. And Beam is a spell that causes 3 damage to a creature and 3 damage to the opponent's face. But because of Spell Boost +2, it's actually doing 5 damage to a creature plus 5 damage to your opponent's face every time you play it. So if you can play an Avatar for 2 mana from Fray or by reducing it with other cards, and then you can play a spell on the same turn for 1 mana, you then just get repeated beams over and over and over again. 6 beams is 30 damage, so you just need 6 mana, and you can OTK your opponent. It's difficult to do, but this card is absolutely one of the most powerful 9-drops in the game at present time. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. We're going to wrap this Genesis series up next time with our final 2 gods, Nature and War. So I'll see you guys in the next one. We're going to wrap up the series next time with the final 2 gods, War and Peace.